Before you even hear the rumble of a bus engine, before a single passenger even thinks about stepping on board, something really important has already happened. It's this quiet, systematic ritual, a kind of conversation between the driver and their vehicle. It's all about making sure everyone is safe. So today, we're going to walk through this first, and you could say most important duty of a professional driver.
So let me ask you, what do you think is a bus driver's single most important job? Is it, navigating that crazy rush hour traffic? Making sure the ride is smooth? Yeah, those are definitely up there. But the real answer? Well, it might actually surprise you. That's right. The most critical part of their job is done before the ignition is even turned on. It's that pre-journey safety inspection, what everyone calls the walk-around check. And it's this incredibly detailed process that basically turns the driver into the very first line of defense against any kind of mechanical problem.
And look, this is so much more than just ticking off boxes on a list. This is the bedrock of what it means to be a professional driver. It's a commitment to every single passenger, and it all starts with just taking a good long look at the vehicle.
Okay, so the whole thing kicks off right at the front of the bus. The driver actually stands back a bit, to get the full picture, to see how the bus is sitting, what its general condition is. It's kind of like a doctor giving a patient a quick once-over before diving into the specifics.
This first step seems so simple, but it is incredibly revealing. See, a bus that's leaning, even just a little bit, isn't just a minor issue. It's a massive red flag. It could mean a serious problem with the suspension or a tire, which could totally compromise how stable the bus is on the road. And then, just like that, the driver turns into a detective. They're looking under the engine, scanning for any drips, any pools on the ground. Any little sign of an oil, coolant, fuel, or even an air leak is a huge clue that this vehicle is not roadworthy. The journey just can't start.
After that, it's this quick but super thorough check of the front-facing essentials. You've got the windshield and wipers for clear vision, the mirrors to make sure they're secure, checking the tax and insurance discs, and making sure the number plate is clean and easy to read. Every single check is about being both safe and legal.
All right, so with that first impression of the outside done, it's time to look under the hood, at the very heart of the machine. Popping open that engine bay is really like checking the vehicle's vital signs before it goes out for a long run.
You can think of these fluids as the lifeblood of the bus. The driver's checking the oil, the coolant, the power steering fluid, making sure everything is right there between the min and max marks. Because if any of these are running low, you're talking about risking a catastrophic engine failure. It's these simple visual checks that prevent huge problems later on.
Next up, the drive belts. These things are basically the engine's connective tissue. The driver is looking for any cracks, any fraying, or if they just seem too loose. A belt that snaps can knock out everything from your power steering to your alternators, so yeah, making sure they're in good shape is an absolute must. And now the full walk-around really begins. This is that systematic 360-degree sweep where that detective work continues. The driver is scanning for any clue, big or small, that might point to a potential danger down the line. As the driver moves along the side of the bus, they'll check the fuel and AdBlue caps. Now AdBlue, that's something modern diesel engines need to run clean and reduce emissions. So the driver just makes sure both of those caps are on tight. It's a simple check for safety, but also for environmental responsibility.
And here we come to one of the most important numbers in all of vehicle safety, 1.6 millimeters. That is the absolute minimum legal tread depth for a tire. If you have anything less than that, the tire's ability to grip the road, especially when it's wet, is just severely compromised. That tiny number is the critical link between an 18-ton bus and a slippery road.
Now for the rear tires, there's a very specific extra check. On top of the usual look for cuts and bulges, the driver has to inspect the space between the two tires. Why? Because a rock or some other piece of junk wedged in there can create an insane amount of heat from friction and could actually lead to a fire. Checking the luggage compartment. Well, it's not just about making sure the suitcases fit. It's a security sweep for things that shouldn't be there, and it's also a physics check. You have to make sure the load is spread out evenly to keep the bus stable, so it's as much about balance and safety as it is about bags. As we get to the back of the bus, the routine just keeps going. Checking the rear window, the lights, the number plate. The driver also takes a look at the exhaust. If they see a lot of black smoke or any kind of blockage, well, that's another clue that points to a potential engine problem that needs to be sorted out before going anywhere.
And then we have a non-negotiable safety feature, the emergency door. This thing is a lifeline. The driver has to confirm it's clearly marked, there's nothing blocking it, and that it works from both the inside and the outside. In an emergency, this one check could be the one that truly matters most.
Okay, with a full 360-degree check of the outside complete, the driver's focus now shifts inside the vehicle. These are the final preparations right before they're ready to turn the key. Before climbing into the cab, the driver checks the vehicle's identification plate. And trust me, knowing the bus's exact weight, length, and width isn't just trivia for a driving test. This is vital, real-world info you need to safely navigate roads with weight limits, tight corners, and low bridges.
And how does the driver actually get into the cab? Well, they use a professional's habit, three-point contact. It's a super simple technique, just always having 3 limbs touching the vehicle when you climb in or out. It's a critical safety habit that prevents those nasty slips and falls that can happen so easily.
Once they're finally in the seat, there are 2 last checks. First, they confirm the vehicle's height on the display in the cab. That's the #1 defense against hitting a low bridge. And then, if it's a regulated trip, the driver inserts their tachograph card. That's the device that legally logs all their driving hours.
So as you can see, this entire ritual, it's so much more than just a checklist. It's a mindset. It's the physical act of being diligent, of being responsible, of being a true professional.
And really, that's the key takeaway here. This meticulous walk-around check is the embodiment of a professional driver's commitment. It's about taking complete ownership for the safety of that vehicle and for every single person who's going to get on board that day.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? From airline pilots to train engineers to ship captains, our whole world is kept moving safely because of these unseen methodical checks. So, the next time you step onto a bus, you'll know that the journey to get you to your destination safely, well, it began long before that engine ever started.